long time ago, in a faraway kingdom, there lived a storyteller. He used his experience as a teller of fairy tales, combined with his love of new technology, to tell a classic story of the triumph of good over evil, with memorable characters, told with stunning art and animation. A classic film that has been beloved by generations. Join the celebration as we explore the magic behind-the-scenes story of Walt Disney's dazzling masterpiece, Sleeping Beauty.
It's always a challenge bringing a great story classic to the screen, giving visual form to characters and places that have only existed in the imagination. But it's the kind of challenge we enjoy.
Well, Walt had built his feature film output on the cornerstone of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. That was the first feature the studio attempted. It was, wildly successful beyond anyone's expectations. But it became sort of the comparison point for everything that followed.
Disney began the ambitious plans for his third feature-length animated fairy tale in the early 1950s. Walt assigned a small team to begin adapting the classic fairy tale to the style of a Disney feature.
Yeah, I think it was at least as early as 52. We thought it was real great. It had some little gnomes type fairies. It was a whole different type of picture.
This early work resulted in a completed storyboard presentation in June of 1952. Walt concluded, however, that this story approach was too similar to past Disney efforts. If the Disney staff returned to the fairy tale, they could not simply duplicate Snow White or Cinderella.
Walt took this on, I think, as a special challenge. He wanted to make this film as special and as different as he could. He wanted to make a film that he felt would be the pinnacle of achievement in animation.
This fresh approach to Sleeping Beauty would push the boundaries of animation with its distinctive and exquisite art.
My gift shall be the gift of beauty.
They wanted to look different from any other film they had made before, and in this they were aided immeasurably by a very gifted artist named Eyvind Earle, who came up with a very stylized and modern look for the film.
I came to work for Disney's in 1951, more than 10 years after I first tried to get into the studio. Of course, it was the greatest job in the whole world for me, and I remember Walt saying, "Let's see what Eyvind can do."
In searching for a style for a cartoon feature, many considerations are necessary. For one thing, it must be more than merely pleasing to the eye. The backgrounds must harmonize with the animated characters, as well as fit the mood of the story and the music. Sleeping Beauty is a fairy tale that is supposed to have taken place long, long ago. So we did a great amount of research into medieval painting and architecture before we arrived at the right styling for this picture.
Eyvind Earle's unique and modern graphic style perfectly realized Walt's desire to create what he called a moving illustration.
I've always been influenced by pre-Renaissance, medieval, Gothic, and here's a movie based on that period of time.
If you look at the old Master Van Eyck, you can see details on bushes miles away, as if everything in the whole picture is absolutely clear. And Eyvind felt that way about this. It's a fairy tale. Let's make it like that. You'll notice that all the design in it is absolutely vertical or horizontal. Everything in it is based on these two juxtapositions of these two planes, including the characters.
I first started with the old medieval artists and almost everything that was Gothic. The tapestries were perfect examples of how foregrounds ought to be. The Gothic came from the Persians, and all their little details of grasses and weeds and trees fit perfectly. So I realized I could use anything that was in harmony with what I was striving to accomplish. And over all of that, a little tiny bit of myself came through.
I think in order to appreciate the complexity of the art and the amount of work that was done, you'd have to mount a museum exhibition to be able to study it
Walt's team of experienced animators faced a particular challenge, making their characters live believably within this highly stylized world.
It's always been said the toughest thing to sell to an audience in an animated film is a believable human figure. And Mark Davis was the champion of female figures at Disney.
Every one of these films that we did has kind of a style all of its own. We had decided to do Sleeping Beauty as what Walt called a moving illustration, so we did a style in there that was different from any other Disney film. We stylized the drawing of Briar Rose.
They never want me to meet anyone. And just before we say goodbye, he takes me in his arms. And then I wake up.
I had a young woman do some live action reference for me. Her name was Elaine Stanley. She did the dances and this sort of thing, which you could do on your own, but that's doing it the hard way. Why not have something you can refer to?
The climactic battle between Prince Philip and the dragon was also intricately choreographed in live action for use as a reference by the animators. It is shown here for the first time in footage reconstructed from the only surviving still photos of the live action.
Up this way!
Mark Davis commanded the forces of both good and evil in Sleeping Beauty. He also supervised the design and animation of the cruel and elegant Maleficent.
I looked through books of the Middle Ages and so on, and I found some figure that was kind of a religious nature, but a part of the gown were these kind of medallions of red, and they had a look of flames, and I thought, gee, that's a good idea. And then, since she was kind of evil, I decided, well, the horns of the devil, it wouldn't hurt, so I put the horns on. Then around her neck, kind of like bat wings.
To give Maleficent a powerful voice to match her evil character, Walt Disney personally suggested actress Eleanor Audley, who had brought Cinderella's wicked stepmother, Lady Tremaine, to chilling vocal life.
Well, Eleanor Audley was a fine actress. There's a lot of the facial look that I put into Maleficent that really is Eleanor Audley.